My attempt at climbing Hard Knot Pass, the steepest climb in England, didn't exactly go that well. But then what do you expect from an average man? Although I'm unlikely to be anything other than sportingly average, I'm going to undertake a 6-week programme to see how much I can improve physically with the right training and nutrition. But first I need to find out just how low a base I'm starting from, and have headed to St Mary's University for a detailed physiological assessment.
The first test you're going to do is a body composition test. So we do this to measure your level of body fat. The reason that's important is because if you're cycling, in general, the leaner you are, the lower percentage body fat you have, the higher your power to weight ratio is. So that means that you can essentially go faster with less effort. So the second test is a submaximal lactate profile. So we do 4-minute stages, and after each 4 minutes, the power output on the ergometer is just gradually increased. I'll be taking a blood lactate measurement after each stage, and what that does, it gives us an indication of your aerobic or anaerobic metabolism. So basically, the more lactate you are producing, the more anaerobically you're working, and that just means that you're working without oxygen. The final test is a VO2 max test. This is just a maximal test to exhaustion so that we can establish your VO2 max, and that is simply just the maximum amount of oxygen you can utilise during maximal exercise. Firstly, when we measured your level of body fat, that's relatively high for someone that's going to be doing an endurance event like cycling. So through dietary modification and also your training, the body fat will reduce, and that will improve your power to weight ratio and also your efficiency. The submaximal test, hopefully after a block of training that you're about to do, we will see an improvement in that you're working at the same power output, but you're using less oxygen, so you become more efficient. And the final test was the VO2 max test. VO2 max is usually scaled relative to your body size. So if your body mass comes down, then VO2 max should improve as well. The fundamental focus for you over the next few weeks, alongside your training, it really is reducing your body fat, focusing on diet.
It's pretty clear from those results that I need expert help, and thankfully I have that on hand from former world duathlon champion and brother UK fusion cyclist Claire Steels.
So the aim of the programme is to increase your power to weight ratio. So that's key for climbing a hill. So we want to increase fitness, which will be difficult, but improve fitness as much as possible, increase leg strength. With tidier nutritional programme, hopefully a little bit of weight loss will come with that as well, and that will give you a much more favourable power to weight ratio. The nutrition will be slightly different to what you're used to. We're going to cut out the junk food, any takeaways, any alcohol, focus on good nutrition that's going to be functional, it's going to help you with your training. So you might feel hungry at times of the day when you're not used to feeling hungry. The jump up in training is going to feel difficult. You are going to be tired, you're going to have to push yourself, but just trust the process and trust the training and you'll get the results.
Anyone who saw my first attempt at Hard Knot Pass would know that I need a lot of help with my cycling technique. So I've asked Eurosport's Brian Smith to take a look at my climb and tell me what I need to work on.
First impressions are pretty good. It's a cattle grid. Just go over it. Oh, don't turn your wheel. I think that's just an excuse to have a lie down. Well, from his standing up, he's obviously carrying a bit of weight, like most of us. So for a first effort, I think he failed miserably, but there's loads of room for improvement. What Tom needs to do is probably drop the front end a little bit, raise the saddle at the back and maybe put it a little bit further back, and that will give him a better position when he's sitting down pedalling. But the main thing is, on the steep parts of the climb, when he's getting out the saddle, he needs to move the bike, and that way he'll transfer his weight, which is quite a lot at the moment, to each pedal, and he needs to learn how to do that. It doesn't come natural for a non-cyclist, and one thing that's important about a climb as hard as Hard Knot is the gearing. Start off with the small gears and keep it in these small gears. Pedalling cadence is key to getting up a steep climb.
The training regime that Claire has provided is pretty full on, with 6 or 7 big sessions per week and regular additional core work each day. On average, I'm spending around 5 hours a week on the turbo trainer, working on overgearing and interval sessions to improve my leg strength. Plus, there's regular gym sessions and 8 hours a week at least on my actual bike. It's fair to say that week 1 was a bit of a shock to the system, and it didn't exactly help that my first big ride ended abruptly when a bit of wood got caught in my wheel and sent me flying over the handlebars. I suffered a bit of whiplash and some concussion, but nothing more serious, and was soon back on the bike. Reducing my calorie intake so dramatically really impacted my energy in the second week in particular. But it's amazing how quickly the body adjusts, and I felt increasingly strong as the schedule went on. After 6 weeks of brutal hard work, this is where we find out if an average man can really get fitter, or if all that hard work was in vain.
Looking at the body composition change, there's been a huge improvement in that in such a short space of time. So within 6 weeks, your body fat is significantly reduced. So around about 9% reduction there, absolute level of body fat has come down. And that's really positive, not only from a health perspective, but also performance, particularly in cycling. So when you're climbing up a hill, that means you're carrying less load, so therefore it should be relatively easier. In terms of the exercise test, your submaximal markers of fitness have improved. One of the markers we use is blood lactate, and we use lactate thresholds to determine fitness levels. So the first one, the lactate threshold, and the second threshold, the lactate turn point, have both improved. And that means that you're producing less lactate within the muscle at the same power output as you were at before. Also, your heart rate response is lower. For instance, in your first stage, the heart rate is around 10 beats per minute lower than it was when you're doing the same power output on your last test. Indicates that your cardiovascular fitness and efficiency has also improved. So taken together, your submaximal fitness is improved alongside a large drop in body fat. That means that your performance should improve.
Obviously, I'm delighted with those results, but will it translate to any noticeable improvement on the toughest climb in England? The daunting task awaits me. Hard not pass. Take 2.
I like to burn it. No. 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 Oh. No.